Just an office assistant, my sister Amanda sneered, swirling her wine glass at the family dinner. She couldn't even get a real career. The words stung, but I kept my face neutral, pushing salad around my plate. Mom gave me that look, the one that said don't make a scene, while Dad pretended to be fascinated by his phone. 20 people sat around the massive dining table in my parents' house, all pretending they hadn't heard Amanda's latest jab. Aunts, uncles, cousins, all witnesses to my public humiliation, just like always. Amanda had planned this dinner to announce her upcoming promotion at Morton and Reed International, the same company where I worked, where she thought I was just an assistant. Amanda continued, her voice dripping with fake concern. Sarah's always been the simple one. Remember when she turned down that marketing position to be a secretary? She laughed, and a few others joined in, their chuckles mixing with the clink of expensive cutlery. I did remember. I remembered everything. 3 years ago, I had indeed turned down the marketing position because I saw something bigger, something Amanda never noticed while climbing her precious corporate ladder. But tonight wasn't the time to explain. Tonight was Amanda's moment, or so she thought. Another glass, dear. Mom offered Amanda more wine, trying to change the subject, but Amanda was on a roll. You know what's funny? She leaned forward, her designer bracelet catching the light. Sarah actually applied for the director position last month. Can you imagine? An assistant thinking she could jump to director? More laughter, louder this time. I checked my watch. 7:45 p.m., right on schedule. Speaking of jobs, Amanda raised her voice, commanding attention. I have an announcement. As you know, I've been up for the senior operations manager position at Morton and Reed. She paused for effect. Well, Mr. Harrison called me personally too. The doorbell rang. Mom frowned. Are we expecting anyone else? Actually, I spoke for the first time that evening. That would be Mr. Harrison now. The room fell silent. Amanda's wine glass stopped halfway to her lips. What? She whispered, her perfect smile cracking slightly. I stood up, smoothing my simple department store dress. I invited him. Hope you don't mind. Before anyone could respond, our housekeeper opened the dining room door. Mr. James Harrison, CEO of Morton and Reed International, she announced. James walked in, his imposing figure filling the doorway. At 45, he carried himself with the confidence of someone who'd built an empire from scratch. His eyes scanned the room before landing on me. Sarah, he smiled warmly. Sorry I'm late. Amanda jumped up, nearly knocking over her wine. Mr. Harrison, I had no idea you were coming to our family dinner. I was just telling everyone about our conversation regarding the senior operations position. James's smile faded slightly. Ah yes, about that. He turned to address the room. I apologize for interrupting your dinner, but I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to make an important announcement. My sister preened, adjusting her hair. I could read her thoughts. This is it. He's going to announce my promotion in front of everyone. As you may know, James continued, Morton and Reed has been undergoing some significant changes. We've been quietly restructuring upper management and bringing in fresh perspectives. He paused, his eyes finding mine again. Sarah, would you like to tell them, or should I? Amanda's head snapped toward me so fast I heard her neck crack. You can do the honors, I said softly. James nodded. For the past year, Sarah has been working directly with our board of directors on a complete overhaul of our operational systems. While maintaining her position as my executive assistant, she's been analyzing our efficiency, identifying weaknesses, and developing solutions that have already saved the company millions. The silence in the room was deafening. I could feel Mom's confused stare, Dad's sudden attention, and Amanda's growing horror. But, Amanda sputtered, she's just an assistant. She gets coffee and schedules meetings. James raised an eyebrow. Is that what you think she does? Sarah has been my right hand for the past year, sitting in on every major decision, contributing strategies that have revolutionized our approach. That simple job. It was cover for her real role, evaluating our entire management structure, including the performance of certain ambitious employees. I watched the color drain from Amanda's face as understanding dawned. Effective Monday, James announced, Sarah will be taking the position of Executive Director of Operations and Strategic Development. She'll be overseeing all departmental operations, including the Senior Operations Manager position. The wine glass slipped from Amanda's fingers, shattering on the hardwood floor. Red wine spread like blood across the expensive Persian rug. "But that's impossible," she whispered. "That position would make her." "Your direct supervisor?" I finished for her. "Yes, it would." Chaos erupted. Mom dropped her fork with a clatter. Dad actually put down his phone. Aunt Lisa choked on her wine. But Amanda just stood there, frozen, as years of condescension and mockery came crashing down around her. "I don't understand," Mom finally managed. "Sarah, why didn't you tell us?" "Would you have believed me?" I asked quietly. "When have any of you ever believed in me?" James cleared his throat. "There's more. Sarah's first task in her new position will be conducting a complete audit of the senior operations department. We've noticed some irregularities in recent reports." Amanda's face went from pale to gray. I knew why. Those irregularities were her clever little scheme to take credit for other people's work, to manipulate data to make herself look better. She'd been doing it for years, stepping on anyone who got in her way, including me. "Mr. Harrison," Amanda's voice shook. "I can explain those reports. There were some technical issues and—" "Save it," I cut her off. "I've already seen everything. The altered presentations, the stolen proposals, even the email where you took credit for Jessica's marketing strategy, the one that landed you the promotion to senior associate last year." "You went through my emails?" she gasped. "No, Jessica came to me, along with 6 other employees you've stepped on. They've all been waiting for someone to finally listen." James stepped forward. "Amanda, we'll discuss this in detail on Monday. For now, I suggest you enjoy your dinner. It might be your last comfortable meal for a while." As he turned to leave, he paused. "Oh, and Sarah, don't be late for the board meeting on Monday. We have some exciting changes to discuss." After you left, the silence was thick enough to cut with a knife. Amanda collapsed back into her chair, her perfect world crumbling around her. "Sarah," Dad finally spoke, his voice uncertain. "Why didn't you ever say anything?" I looked around the table, at all the faces that had laughed at my simple job, my lack of ambition, my settling for less. "Because none of you ever asked," I said simply. "You all decided who I was years ago. Amanda was the star, the achiever, the one with potential. I was just simple Sarah. The quiet one. The underachiever." I stood up, gathering my things. "But here's the thing about being underestimated. People reveal their true selves when they think you don't matter." "Wait," Amanda called out as I headed for the door. "You can't do this to me. We're family." I turned back, meeting her desperate gaze. "Family? Was it family when you took credit for my market analysis last year? When you told HR I wasn't qualified for the promotion you wanted? When you spread rumors about me sleeping my way into my position?" She flinched at each accusation. "Monday morning, I'm launching a full investigation into every project you've touched in the last 3 years. Every report, every presentation, every promotion you've earned. We're going to find out exactly how many of them were actually yours." "You'd destroy your own sister's career?" Mom gasped. "No," I replied calmly. "Amanda destroyed her own career. I'm just bringing the truth to light." As I walked out of that dining room, leaving behind the shocked silence and shattered illusions, I felt lighter than I had in years. Monday would bring chaos, investigations, probably tears. But for now, I savored the look on their faces when they realized that simple Sarah had been playing chess while they were playing checkers. My phone buzzed. A text from James. "Dinner go as planned." I smiled, typing back, "Even better. See you Monday, boss." Another buzz. "Not boss for long. Board's voting on the CDO transition next month. Ready to take the reins." I looked back at the house, where I could see Amanda through the window, frantically dialing her phone, probably trying to do damage control. "Ready as I'll ever be," I replied. After all, I hadn't spent the last year quietly building evidence, making allies, and positioning myself just to stop at director. Amanda thought she was climbing the corporate ladder. I was building my own tower. And from the top, I could finally see everything clearly. Monday would be interesting indeed. Monday morning arrived with a storm, both literal and figurative. Thunder cracked outside the Morton and Reed International Building as I walked through the lobby, my heels clicking against the marble floor. Employees who had never given me a second glance now straightened up as I passed, their whispers trailing behind me. "That's her, the new director." Heard she's Amanda's sister. Did you see the email about the audit? The audit. I smiled, remembering the company-wide email that had gone out at 6 a.m. sharp. A complete investigation into the senior operations department, effective immediately. All files were to be frozen, all communications reviewed. The elevator opened to the 32nd floor, executive level. My new office waited at the end of the hall. But first, I had a stop to make. Amanda was already in her office, surrounded by papers. Her makeup couldn't quite hide the dark circles under her eyes. When I walked in, she jumped like she'd seen a ghost. Working early? I asked, noting the empty coffee cups and scattered files. Sarah, she tried to smile, but it came out more like a grimace. I was just organizing some reports. Listen, about dinner. Save it. I closed the door behind me. The audit team will be here in 20 minutes. They'll need access to everything, your emails, files, presentations, even your personal device if you used it for work. You can't do this, she hissed, the fake smile vanishing. Do you know how many people I know in this industry? I'll make sure you never. Never what? I cut her off. Never succeed. Never get promoted. Never amount to anything. I pulled out my phone and played a recording. Amanda's voice, clear as day, telling a colleague how she'd adjusted the quarterly reports to take credit for a junior analyst's work. She went pale. Where did you get that? I told you, people talk when they think you don't matter. I've spent a year collecting everything, Amanda. Every backstab, every lie, every manipulated report. Did you really think you could get away with it forever? What do you want? She whispered, deflating. Money? A promotion somewhere else? Name it. I laughed, a sharp sound in the quiet office. What I want is justice. For every person whose work you stole, whose careers you derailed, whose lives you damaged with your selfish games. A knock at the door made us both turn. James stood there with 3 serious-looking individuals in suits. Amanda, he said coldly. The audit team would like to begin. Sarah, we have that board meeting in 10 minutes. As I turned to leave, Amanda grabbed my arm. Please, she begged, her voice cracking. I'm your sister. I looked at her hand, then into her eyes. You stopped being my sister the day you decided your success was worth more than my dignity. Actions have consequences, Amanda. It's time you learned that. The board meeting was brief but decisive. The evidence was overwhelming. By noon, Amanda was escorted out of the building, her personal items in a box, her company access revoked. As she walked through the lobby, dozens of eyes watched, many belonging to people whose work she had stolen. My phone buzzed with texts from Mom all afternoon. How could you do this to your sister? She's devastated. Families should stick together. I finally replied with a single message. Ask Amanda about the trust fund she drained, the one Dad set up for both of us. Check the transfers from 2019. Silence after that. That evening, I sat in my new office, looking out over the city lights. A knock at the door revealed Jessica, the marketing strategist whose work Amanda had stolen last year. Is it true? She asked, holding a piece of paper. The promotion to team lead. I nodded. You earned it. Your work on the Asian market expansion was brilliant, even if someone else took credit for it. She sat down, tears in her eyes. I almost quit, you know. After Amanda, I thought maybe I wasn't good enough. I know, I said softly. That's why I had to stop her. Talent should be celebrated, not stolen. My phone buzzed again. Dad this time. The trust fund message had finally hit home. Just checked with the bank. How long have you known? I typed back, since the day she did it. Funny how no one questioned her sudden ability to buy a beach house last year. We'll make her pay it back, he promised. Keep it, I replied. Consider it the price of learning the truth about your perfect daughter. As night fell, I packed up my things, ready to head home. On my desk sat a single envelope, the board's decision on the CEO transition. Inside lay my future, but also vindication. Proof that success didn't require stepping on others. That quiet determination could outweigh loud ambition. I opened it, reading the single line that changed everything. The board unanimously approves the transition of CEO responsibilities to Sarah Mitchell, effective next quarter. Tomorrow would bring more challenges, more changes, more opportunities to right the wrongs. But tonight, I savored the silence of victory, not over my sister, but over the system that had enabled her for so long. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from an unknown number. Congratulations on the promotion. Karma's a bitch. Your former assistant. I smiled, remembering all the coffee runs and scheduling I'd done while quietly building my case. Sometimes the best view isn't from the top of the ladder. It's from the bottom, where you can see every rung clearly. The storm outside had cleared, leaving behind a clean, fresh night. As I walked to my car, I passed Amanda's empty parking spot, her name already removed from the sign. Tomorrow someone else would park there, someone who'd earned their place. Success, I realized, wasn't about climbing over others. It was about lifting people up as you rose. Amanda never understood that. But now she would. 2 weeks after Amanda's dramatic exit, the ripples were still spreading through both the company and our family. The audit had uncovered more than even I expected. Years of manipulated data, stolen ideas, and calculated sabotage. But what surprised me most was the silence from my sister. Until today, I sat in my new corner office reviewing the final audit reports when my assistant's voice crackled over the intercom. "Ms. Mitchell, your mother and sister are here. They don't have an appointment, but—" "Send them in," I interrupted, straightening my desk. "I've been expecting this." They entered like a funeral procession. Mom first, clutching her designer handbag like a shield, followed by Amanda, barely recognizable in jeans and a plain sweater instead of her usual power suits. "Sarah," Mom started, her voice tight. "We need to talk about this situation." I gestured to the chairs across from my desk. By situation, do you mean Amanda's fraud, the stolen trust fund, or the fact that she's now unhireable in this industry? Amanda flinched but said nothing. She looked smaller somehow, her usual confidence stripped away like old paint. "The trust fund was a mistake," Mom defended. "She's going to pay it back." "With what money?" I asked calmly. "The beach house is being repossessed. Her assets are frozen pending the investigation, and her reputation." I let the sentence hang. "That's why we're here." Amanda finally spoke, her voice hoarse. I need help." I leaned back in my chair, taking in the sight of my proud, ambitious sister actually asking for help. "Continue." "The bank is taking everything," she whispered. "My house, my car. I can't even get a job interview. Everyone knows what happened." "Actions have consequences." I repeated my words from that day in her office. "Please," Mom interjected. "She's your sister. She made mistakes, but haven't you punished her enough?" I stood up, walking to the window that overlooked the city. "Punish her?" "No, Mom, I didn't punish her. I exposed her. There's a difference." I turned back to them. "Do you know how many careers she destroyed? How many people quit because they thought they weren't good enough, when really Amanda had just stolen their work?" "I'm sorry," Amanda whispered, tears falling now. I was scared." "Scared?" I raised an eyebrow. "Of not being enough. Of not living up to everyone's expectations. You were always so capable, even when you seemed to be doing nothing. I had to fight for everything." I almost laughed. "Fight? You mean steal? And I seem to be doing nothing because you never bothered to look beyond your own ambition." Mom shifted uncomfortably. "Sarah, please. What can we do to fix this?" I walked back to my desk, pulling out a folder I prepared weeks ago. "Actually, I have a proposition." Amanda looked up, hope flickering in her eyes. "There's a small consulting firm in Seattle, far enough away that your reputation hasn't reached them. They owe me a favor. They're willing to give you an entry-level position." "Entry-level?" Mom gasped. "But she has years of experience." "No," I corrected. "She has years of taking credit for other people's experience. She'll start at the bottom, where she should have started years ago." Amanda reached for the folder with trembling hands. "What's the catch?" "Several, actually. First, you'll repay every penny of the trust fund, with interest. Second, you'll write personal apologies to everyone whose work you stole. Third, you'll sign a contract agreeing never to work in the city's business sector again." That's everything I've built," she whispered. "No," I said firmly. "That's everything you stole. Now you get to build something real." Mom started to protest, but Amanda held up a hand. "I'll do it." "Amanda," Mom exclaimed. "No, Mom. Sarah's right." Amanda looked at me, really looked at me, perhaps for the first time in years. I did this to myself. And I'm sorry, Sarah. Not just for the company stuff, but for everything. For making you feel small, for never seeing who you really were. I nodded, accepting but not quite forgiving. The job starts in 2 weeks. You'll have a small apartment as part of your package. It's not much, but it's honest. What about family dinners? Mom asked quietly. Holidays? That depends on Amanda, I replied. Real change takes time. Let's see if she's really ready to do the work. As they stood to leave, Amanda paused at the door. How did you do it? Stay so quiet, plan so carefully, never let on what you were doing. I smiled slightly. I learned from watching you, actually. I just used those lessons for justice instead of personal gain. After they left, I sat in the growing darkness of my office, thinking about family, justice, and redemption. My phone buzzed. A text from James. Heard your sister came by. You okay? Yes, I replied. Sometimes healing starts with hard truths. Board meeting tomorrow to finalize your CEO transition. Ready to make it official. I looked at the photo on my desk, the only personal item I kept in my office. It was from years ago, before Amanda's ambition turned toxic, before our family fractured. We were both smiling, genuine smiles untainted by competition or resentment. Maybe, just maybe, starting over in Seattle would help her find that person again. Not for my sake, but for her own. Ready? I texted back. Time to build something new. Because that's what real leaders do. They don't just climb to the top. They create paths for others to follow, even those who once tried to push them down. 1 year later, the Seattle rain pattered against the coffee shop windows as I sat across from Amanda, both of us clutching steaming mugs. She looked different now, not just the simpler clothes or the absence of expensive jewelry, but something in her eyes. The sharp, calculating edge had been replaced by something softer, more genuine. The team liked my proposal, she said, a small smile playing at her lips. My homework, this time. I nodded, watching her closely. Over the past year, I'd received regular reports from her supervisors. Steady progress, honest effort, and most surprisingly, a talent for mentoring junior employees. Sarah, she set down her cup, I never properly thanked you. For what? Destroying your career? The words came out harsher than intended. For giving me a chance to build a real one. She pulled out her phone, showing me a photo of her small desk, decorated with cards from her team. Last week, one of the interns came to me for advice. Actually came to me, trusting me to help. Do you know how that felt? I did. I remembered that feeling, the genuine satisfaction of earning respect rather than demanding it. The funny thing is, she continued, I make less money now, live in a tiny apartment, drive a used car. But I'm happier. For the first time, I'm proud of what I've actually achieved, not what I've taken. My phone buzzed. A message from Mom. Are you girls still having coffee? Send a photo. Miss you both. The relationship with our parents had shifted too. Dad had finally acknowledged his role in enabling Amanda's behavior, and Mom had stopped playing favorites. Distance, it seemed, had brought its own kind of clarity. The trust fund is fully repaid, Amanda said quietly. I sent the final payment yesterday. I know, the bank notified me. She looked up, surprised. You've been monitoring it? I monitor everything, Amanda. Old habits die hard. We shared a small laugh, acknowledging the irony. My watchfulness, once born of self-preservation, had become the foundation of my success. Morton and Reed's stock hit a record high last quarter, she mentioned, and I caught the slight wistfulness in her tone. It did. Turns out honest leadership is good for business. And you? How's the CEO life treating you? I thought about my office, now on the top floor, where I instituted a new company policy. All project teams must include junior members, all contributions must be credited, and all promotions must be thoroughly documented. It's different than I expected, I admitted. Less about power, more about responsibility. Amanda nodded, understanding flickering across her face. Like what you did for me. Sometimes responsibility means making hard choices. As we finished our coffee, I pulled out an envelope I'd been carrying for weeks, waiting for the right moment. What's this? She asked as I handed it to her. Your last performance review from Seattle. They're recommending you for a senior position. Her hands trembled slightly as she opened it. But the contract, I'm not supposed to. In Seattle, I clarified. You've earned it, Amanda. The right way this time. Tears welled in her eyes, but she blinked them back. Thank you. Not just for this, but for stopping me when you did. For making me face myself. We walked out into the rain together, sharing an umbrella like we used to when we were kids. Before competition and ambition drove us apart. Before success became a weapon instead of a journey. Will you come to Christmas this year? She asked as we reached my car. Mom's been asking. I thought about it. About the family dinners that had once been battlegrounds of subtle jabs and hidden resentments. Maybe it was time for new traditions. Yes, I said finally. But this time, let's just be sisters. No comparing, no competing. Just family. She smiled, a real smile that reached her eyes. I'd like that. As I drove back to the airport, I thought about power and redemption, about success and second chances. Amanda had lost everything to learn what really mattered. I had risked everything to right a wrong. But in the end, we both found something more valuable than corporate success. We found our way back to being sisters. Sometimes the happy ending isn't about winning. Sometimes it's about learning how to start over together.